Introduced as a new head coach at Colorado yesterday. Now, the NFL Hall of Famer went 27-5 in his 3 seasons at Jackson State. He was a perfect 12-0 this season, but that does not tell the whole story. Come on in, family. Come on in. Come on in. It's time to get real. Deion Sanders, 12-0 at Jackson State. His son, Shador, is the quarterback. They were balling. Problem. Deion has now chosen to leave Jackson State and go to Colorado. It's really shaking up the sports world. We'll dive into all the nuances of it. But firstly, Dave Hellman, you chime in very quickly. What is your issue, or do you have an issue with Deion Sanders leaving for Colorado?
I don't have an issue at all. This is honestly low-key incredible. Like when Deion Sanders announced that he was going to coach Jackson State, it was this big story. Everybody, how's it going to go? How's he going to be as a coach? He was so good. It's rare to jump from FCS to FBS at any level. And Colorado's been down, but this is a Power 5 program. He's the first HBU head coach to get a Power 5 head coaching job. That's unprecedented. That's historical. So I know there's a lot of nuance to it. I know there's a deeper conversation there, but to be so successful that you can make that type of jump, and honestly, with Deion's name power, I thought he could have gotten a better job, because again, Colorado's been one of the worst programs in the country this year and for most of the last 2 decades. So it speaks to his name brand and the success that he's had, that he was able to make a jump like this. I think it's incredible.
Well, Dave led to it, so let's just be real about this conversation. There are a lot of nuances that more so appeal to upbringings. Joy, Shady, myself may have experienced, family members may have experienced. Some people saying Deion Sanders is a sellout for leaving Jackson State and going to Colorado. Joy, I want to come to you next. What are your thoughts on Deion leaving? What are your thoughts on people calling him a sellout? What's your overall opinion on the situation?
I'm really happy for Deion Sanders. Congratulations on the success that you had at Jackson State, which was unprecedented, and getting a job at Colorado, which is unprecedented. An HBCU coach has never gone to that level. And I'm very confused overall at what the outrage is about. Now, I understand I didn't go to an HBCU, so I understand the pride of going to an HBCU and what that emotes. And I certainly understand anybody who goes to Jackson State or is a Jackson State alum who's upset. Similar to when Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma. I don't think it's reasonable to be mad at Lincoln Riley, but I get Oklahoma fans not liking Lincoln Riley, and so on and so forth. We see this with jobs, with college jobs and professional jobs all the time, because you're a fan and you care. That's understandable. If you aren't a Jackson State alum, however, I'm really confused, because Deion went there, elevated the program, brought attention to the program, brought in students, got college game days there, dedicated himself to building this program, and had actual quantifiable success. Deion Sanders was in the hospital having toes amputated and was out on the sideline, in recovery on the sideline at games. You telling me this man wasn't dedicated to the school? He was using the school? He was giving money back to the school? I don't understand why it is a bad thing to move on to another place, because what's happened now through all this conversation is Deion was leaving this job, a great job. This was a job that someone could come to and put their own stamp on it. Clearly, you can have success there because he's shown that you can. Now it's not a good job, because if you take that job, you got to stay there forever or you're a sellout. So if you're not Deion Sanders, how do you have the reputation to go there as an aspirational person to ever want to move on to somewhere else? So what was a good job is now not a good job.
2-5, chime in.
Yeah, I love this job move, right? And I love Prime Time, so I'm going to call him Coach Prime, right? The problem is, everybody's making a big issue out of it, but this is what every coach goes through. This is college football.
Yes.
I think the difference is, the big name and where he went. The HBCU, I know nothing about that until he went there. Then I learned about it. In high school, I was a top recruit. I'm talking about Pete Carroll. This is when Pete Carroll had Reggie Bush, and Reggie Bush was Reggie Bush. Come to my high school. We want to talk to LaShawn McCoy, meeting with him, et cetera, et cetera. My parents coming in to talk to him at school. I didn't know anything about a HBCU college to come talk to me. I wouldn't even know what that even is, right? So now I catch myself on Saturdays. I'm tuning in. Coach Prime is there. He's making this big thing. It's all the awareness, the attention. Come on. College game day, right, is the biggest thing for college football. they're there promoting the school, and et cetera. So, and I'm used to seeing them against like Ohio State and Michigan's. And I'll say this, because I won't get deep on it, because it hurt me because to see a lot of my people, my black people talking about prom. It's like, prom is here. He's for everybody. Like, he want everybody to do well. And the thing is, okay, you look at, I'm going to say, the schools like I went to Pittsburgh. You got Penn States and all that, et cetera. They promote these schools so you want to go there. Oh, I want to be the next Larry Fitzgerald. I want to be the next Dan Marino, whatever it is. Adrian Peterson, you go to Oklahoma. So my thing is now, Prime has did that same thing. Of you now you go to the NFL at HBCU and become something. Them same recruiters and NFL scouts that was going to the games, maybe Prime brought it out there. Those kids are still there. So we're going to go get them kids. We'll still recruit them. Just because Prime's not there, still have some scouts. So I love what Coach Prime is doing. It's a promotion. And he should do well at that job.
Let me come back to you with this, though, because what about the fact that in the NBA, many people say wherever LeBron leaves, when LeBron leaves a location, the Cleveland Cavaliers the second time around, the Miami Heat, if he were to leave Los Angeles, he hemorrhages the program to some degree. He hemorrhages the NBA organization. As I'm looking right now online, I see an offensive tackle has decommitted, a 3-star recruit from Jackson State following the news. A 4-star player has decommitted from Jackson State following the news. What about the fact that Deion Sanders might be doing the program more harm in the long term by now hemorrhaging the program's recruits, taking coaches with them, taking the quarterback with them, etc.?
That's college football. That's sports. You think the Miami Heat care that LeBron left and they were bad for a couple years? They do not care. Right. They went to 4 straight finals. We won 2 chips. I rode in a parade. Thank you. Thank you for coming to Miami, which, by the way, had a championship before and have been back in the Eastern Conference Finals and are competitive again. If you're a well-run program, you bounce back. What do you mean? Everything that he did for that organization, anyone who walks on a foot, let me be very clear, because sometimes people just forget who Prime is. He's one of the most famous football players of all time. He's one of the most famous athletes of all time.
Yes, he is.
Let's go back in time, shall we? Just to remind everyone who he is. If you walk on a field today in the NFL and have any swag, if you got a chain on, if you're talking, that is where you got it from. Deion Sanders set the
look at my boy.
Deion Sanders made the culture. Iconic is not even enough, okay? This man is timeless. Like, this man is timeless. He made the culture. Why is it bad for him to benefit from his own culture? This is what I don't understand. Prime is prime is prime is prime. You get an authentic person all the time. There's no confusion as to what he is or who he is or what he represents or what he's done. I don't understand the vitriol for aside from all that, a grown-ass man making a decision for his own career.
Okay, let me try to chime in with some of the thoughts that I've heard representing another side. Let's talk big-scale college football, the biggest of scales. University of Southern California, Lincoln Riley was their coach this year. Lincoln Riley came from the University of Oklahoma. Oklahoma had gone to 6 straight Big 12 championship games under Lincoln Riley along with Bob Stoops. Lincoln Riley leaves Oklahoma, takes a quarterback with him, takes a strength coach with him, takes a defensive coordinator with him, takes all those pieces from Oklahoma, goes to SC. USC has its best year in the last 10, 15 years. Oklahoma has its worst year in the last 20. I think if that same parallel follows Deion Sanders and Jackson State, then the question is, did Deion Sanders end up hurting Jackson State more than he helped? Because when you look at the University of Oklahoma, if there is going to be some sort of parallel, remember, Deion's taking the quarterback and other recruits have decommitted. If he sets Jackson State back, does that end up doing more long-term damage?
This is how the business works. This is the business. This is not a volunteer service. This is a business. Hello? This is how it works. You just described what happened with Oklahoma and USC. That is not an isolated situation. That happens anytime a coach leaves. Anytime a coach leaves, that's what happens. Recruits change, they get in the portal, people decommit. That's how this works.
Okay, let me ask you the question that most people won't ask on air. Should Deion be more sensitive to it? I'll ask both Shady and Joy. Should Deion be more sensitive to leaving and potentially hemorrhaging a program, given the fact that he's leaving a historically black college and university and hemorrhaging that black program, going to a PWI, predominantly white institution? Should he be more sensitive to it?
Yes, probably. But that goes back to my original point, that anyone who takes this job can never leave. Because if you take another job, as an aspirational person, you have aspirations to do anything else in college sports. If you take another job that's not another HBCU job, then you're a sellout.
Yep.
When you say sensitive, as far as what? Like like what?
Sensitive meaning Brian Kelly can leave Notre Dame and go to LSU because at the end of the day, Notre Dame gonna be all right.
Okay.
Lincoln Riley can leave.
Brian Kelly came from a D2 school, first of all.
Correct.
And kept climbing.
Of course.
Okay.
I'm saying gonna be all right in the sense of Notre Dame will forever have resources.
Right.
Lincoln Riley can leave Oklahoma and go to USC because Oklahoma, at the end of the day,
Okay.
they gonna be all
what you're
right.
saying. Right.
But Deion, if you leave Jackson State, you know Jackson State isn't going to have the same mattress to lie on as Oklahoma or Notre Dame.
Can we get away from the school and let's look at the whole picture though of all the black colleges, HBCU teams in general? Like he put attention to that. We keep talking about this to one school. There's a lot of schools I can name. The coach leaves, the team's bad for a couple of years, then they get good again.
That's sports.
What about the whole thing though? Like I've seen guys like Snoop Dogg and like all these other Puff Daddy. Everybody's just talking about it and making awareness to it. And we know this, everybody's followers. I don't want to say followers, but they go with the wave.
Yep.
Oh, we're going to the game? Oh, we're going to the game. Oh, we're supporting. I remember going to I was going to Atlanta, and it was a plane full of Jackson State, and I forget the other team, but all these people going to this game. It was like Penn State versus, I don't know, Michigan. So let's get away from this, the team. Let's look at the whole league and what he's did for that whole league. So.
We can't always be complaining about black coaches not getting opportunities, and then when black coaches get opportunities, we're still complaining.
Right.
The math doesn't math, y'all.
Because real quick, like we don't know Deion's coaching path, his dreams, his journey, what he want to be. He might want to coach the NFL and his steps, and he's climbing like every
and
other
also,
coach.
if you have an issue with him taking the Colorado job as opposed to some other bigger job, there's nuances to that too. But if he takes some big job and doesn't do well, then his coaching career is over. So he's actually building up his resume in a rational way.
Do your thing, Prime. Coach Prime, do your thing.
Here, I think, is the most troubling and concerning issue with Deion Sanders' criticism. It is this. If you criticize a person that has poured back into you, a community, into you as a program, into you as a school, then you are not incentivizing that person to want to continue to give back after they now have acquired more resources, after they have acquired more wealth, after they have acquired more support. Understand, Deion Sanders did a whole lot more for Jackson State than anybody on Twitter likely ever has. So to now call him a sellout retroactively is going to disincentivize him from wanting to continue to support the very community that is now chastising him. It actually makes no sense. Let's play the long game. Let's open up the door instead of looking through the keyhole. Coming up, the Bengals have the Chiefs' number. Third straight victory the Chiefs just got at the hands of the Bengals. Third straight loss, that is. Should KC be worried about